right now as a teen?
Naitwa Alex. Swali yangu ni, at this age tofauti katiana.
Hi, my name is Christy. I would like to know if I can still maintain my sexual purity as a teen.
Hello, I want to welcome you to this discussion and conversation on issues of teenage pregnancy and issues of sex in our teenagers. Karibuni sana. Isaac is my name. I have a panel of people that are going to introduce themselves from my very far left.
Hello everyone, my name is Moses, from the student, and I'm happy to be here.
Hello people, my name is Grace from Musharika. I am born again. I'm glad to be here to discuss the topic of today. I'm passionate about the youth because I'm not so young, but I'm married.
Hi, I go by YT Lois and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, my name is John and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, I am Angela Wangari Bishai and I'm happy to be here.
My name is Reverend Getundu Kamau. I'm also happy to be here. I'm the parish minister.
Wow, we've all noticed the surge in teenage pregnancies, and we can no longer hide our head in the sand and not say what is happening in our country. So I'm going to start off with a question to you people. What do you think drives young people into early sex? Moses, I can start with you.
As for me, I'm going to say curiosity. Teenagers are very curious people. For us to know what sex is can make us go into it so we can find out how it feels and everything about it.
Lois?
I'm going to go by the accessibility to contraceptives and things like that, the knowledge about them. So I think also it all comes on exposure, as Angela said. You know about these things, you have knowledge about them. So if someone comes and tells you if you use contraceptives you want to get pregnant, then the question the teenagers ask is why not?
John?
I think it's one that can contribute is peer pressure, because if you have friends that do it, there's no reason you cannot do it. So it's like they are pushed to do it.
Angela?
I would say exposure by all aspects. It could be from our environment, our home environment, internet, and the friends around us.
Grace, over to you. You've been married, I think, now for like 2-3 years. What's your take on the early teen pregnancies?
When I was a teen, I think we had a lot of things to do. But right now, there's a lot of idleness. People are so idle, they have time to be on their phones and do all kinds of things. They may, like right now in our country, we have realized the surge of teen pregnancies. They have been there, but right now because kids are at home, there is nothing to do. And we all know that an idle mind is a devil action. It's the devil's action. And forbidden fruits are taste sweet, as they say. And right now, because the parents are expecting the children, even the teachers are expecting the children to be homeschooling. But what are they doing? They're engaging in the internet and doing stuff that the parents don't do. So they are idle, and what are they doing? They are doing negative things. And when they are curious, they want to do those things. You cannot say you start chatting with a person of the opposite sex and you don't finish it. And because of the emotions that are there right now, they want to experiment it. And when they experiment it, of course, they get pregnant and other consequences.
Right, we've heard of curiosity, peer pressure, exposure, contraceptives are everywhere. What's your take on it?
For sure, I must admit that it is important for the church and families to be very open in addressing the issues to do with sex and sexuality. Our young people here have mentioned very key causes or drives into early sex. Maybe to address just a little on exposure, you find that in our times, everywhere you go, through the advert, in the television, in the buses, the music that our young people are listening to out there and inside in the house, even in the house, you find that there is a lot of sex images, sexual images. You can agree with me that in our Mweki town buses, the music that is in there and the images that are there, seeing people singing almost naked or even naked, if I may call it so, that will bring in the urge and it will allow sexual feelings for young people and the adults. And allow me to say that the society is contributing quite much. For us, it was a little bit different. We were learning some things maybe in a very slim opportunity, in a very slim occasion, where you are learning about the matters of sex. There were no these images that are everywhere, even in music and advert. But these days, our young people are exposed into things that are reflecting sexual images, and it can bring the issue of curiosity, as our brother has mentioned. And you can also understand, or rather you can agree with me, that the young at a stage where they are also discovering some things in life, and they want also to experiment. And when it comes now in the issue of peer pressure, where they will be sharing experiences, where they will start talking about some things, and some others have already gotten into it, you find that someone is becoming more curious. They are talking about having sex with a girl, and you will feel as if you are so backward, in quotes, so backward if you have not been able to experience a girl, if you have not been able to experience sex with a boy when it comes to the girls. So when such, all these things brought together, they bring in the issue of encouraging young ladies and men to engage in early sex, which is very negative for their lives.
Thank you. And I have a question. Let's start with you. Is sexual purity overrated?
No, it's not. Sexual purity is not overrated, but in this kind of generation right now, people make it seem like it is. Like being pure at this age is like it makes you feel like you don't belong in the society, that in the teenage society anymore. So I think that it's all in people's head, it's all in people's mind that sexual purity is overrated, but in that sense it's not.
Moses, do you believe we still have people in their teenage still maintaining themselves? Or we've lost the ball with songs like Lambes and all that?
I believe there are still teenagers who are maintaining themselves, but if we continue on the road that we are going, we lose the ball.
John, sexual purity, overrated, not overrated?
It's not overrated because also it depends with how you are raised. If you are raised in a respectable manner, you cannot, yes, emotions are there. You cannot just go have relationships with a boy and you don't have that respect in you. The respect in you was from you are a child till now. So there's no way when someone changes, it does not come just all of a sudden. There's a process. So when you're raised in a respectable way, there's how you're gonna respect yourself. So if you respect yourself, even doing sex will be like, it's bad. And also, it's kind of like a sin that.
So, Angela, we agree that sex mostly is between a boy and girl relationship, right?
Yeah.
We agree to that extent.
Yes.
So, you're already in love with this boy and you want to prove to them that you love him. Why not have sex with him? Is it a sign of love?
No.
To prove your love?
No. Let's bring us back to what is loving each other. Loving goes beyond sex. Love is a broad. It's a broad. If sex was a way of showing we're loving each other, then wow, it will be really misused. So it's all back to sexual purity. If you love each other with the purity, the sexual purity aspect understood. You can love each other beyond sex.
I
Grace, you dated for how long before you got married?
Actually dated for some few months before he got married.
So how did you handle the issue of sex?
I really thank God for my husband because when we started, he's the one who suggested, he told me, I will not touch you until I marry you. So I was so relieved because most of the guys I used to date, you just feel the vibe of they want sex. And actually it is very unfortunate for ladies that when a guy does nice things for you, he buys you things, takes you out, do all those stuff for you, the biggest thing that you can think of giving him in return is sex, and it is very unfortunate. And I wish ladies would carry themselves with a lot of value and value their purity, because it really matters, especially when you get into marriage. It is really hard to wait, I know, but it is worth it. Good things do not come easy. And I know I have an experience, and I have had people say that when you wait for marriage, it develops your patience. And when you are patient, you can really be patient with that person when you get married. So I think it is not unlimited.
Si Musa anakupenda na atakuoa, mbona usimpende?
Because as Angela said, love is not all about sex. Sex is a minimal part. So if you call having sex with someone love, then love is overrated. Because then I will have sex with anyone and assume that I love them. But really, love is not about sex. Love, as Angela said, is beyond sex. So yeah, it's just a minimal part.
Musa, she loves you. Why can't she hold until you when she's real?
I think it's again part of the beginning psychology. I think we have been raised in a time where sex has been overrated. It's not love, it has been overrated to the point that we know, for me to know that for her to know that I love her, I have to have sex with her. If I don't, then I don't love her, it's fake. So it's sex, which is how the times that have made us that way. Because if you look at the people, the old people generation, they don't have that mentality. They show their love through actions. Other actions apart from sex. Sex is just a by the way.
John, utamlose. Are you ready to lose him because you're not ready to give him?
It also contributes to the guy. If maybe you have dated for like 4 years, but you have not had sex, that doesn't mean that you don't love the guy. It also depends with the respect the guy has for you. So if the guy respects you that much, hawezi kuja aniambie I want to have it. Alafu nikisema no ako like I want to have it. When you say it's a no, it's a no. If the guy respects you. But if he doesn't, then
Rev, over to you. What's happening to our world that sex has become so common that to some extent it's lost its value? Yes.
Allow me to say it is not about cultural values. Our culture has been so diluted. Currently, we may not say that we have a particular culture. We have diluted it with the Western culture, with the European culture, with other countries' culture. And even in our country, we find ourselves not having cultural values, because I believe culture has a great, can take us a great height, can take us to high levels. Because when we have cultural values, we can be able to advise our young people and we can have particular people who are addressing such issues at the right time. Not that that is the only way. Now that we have the church can also address or rather inspire some values into the lives of our young people. And when we talk about sexual purity, for me, I believe we should uphold sexual purity, because for one, sex is divine. It was created by God, and that is why as a man, as a gentleman, I was created the way that I am, and a lady was made the way she is. And let me tell our young people that it is very possible for one to be sexually pure. It is very, very possible. For me, I married a virgin. My wife was a virgin when I married her, and she was over 20 years. And she has been able to keep pure. Not that I was too lucky. I never knew that she was a virgin. She never concealed that to me. But I came to confirm that when I married, and it was not of any interest for me to know whether she was virgin or not. And we were able to manage our love life for that period before we got married without having sex. I never touched her. We never even found ourselves in secluded places where we may be tempted into such. But we were relating out there in public, going to hotels for meetings, to meet and chat. And even when we could go out in the field, we were getting into open field where we could see people passing. And when we also talk about that curious, it also depends on how the adults or some other people out there are also informing us about such things. You may be introduced into sex by some people who are trying actually to just tell you how sex is all about, and perhaps they want to give you a caution against it, but the approach may be very different. I remember when I was in Form 3, and you know in Form 3 I was a teenager like Moses over there. I had a physics teacher, but in class, I don't know which topic exactly that we were addressing, but he said for sure there are 4 basic things in human life. He said number 1 is food, the other one is shelter, the other one is clothing, and he also added now the fourth. For us we knew 3, that is what we were aware. For the other one he said sex, and we were left wondering, so this is that basic like any other basic need. And that can also lead young people now to go out there and try to experience that basic need that we desperately need in life for survival. And therefore it is important to understand the lifetime for us to introduce. And if we are introducing the matters of sex, we need to get into depth, that we may be able to give our young people the pros and cons, that for them to understand their advantages. But now we have introduced the issues about sex, but we have not been able to address some areas that perhaps can help them to understand how they should handle themselves.
So I want to throw a question back to you. As you were dating your wife, was it your responsibility to protect her, or whose responsibility is it? Because with her, would you have asked her for sex to show that she loves you? Whose responsibility is it? Even as people date and maybe start these courtship issues.
Number 1, it was my responsibility. I love her, and if I love her as my girlfriend or my fiancée, then I should protect her interests and feelings. And you know, in many other times you may find yourself engaging into sex, and by the end of that activity, it may bring some foul kind of a feeling, and even hatred may come up. Some other people may get excited into it, and they may be driven into doing it more and more other times. And at the same time, maybe the girl will be left in that state of trying to wonder whether am I pregnant? Did I do the right thing? And at the same time, you may also have that feeling also as a gentleman, as a young man, whether you did the right thing. And however the experience may be that good as some people consider, they fail to understand that immediately after you will start suffering some guilt feeling and also fear that perhaps that girl was pregnant. And you know, these days even contraceptives are not 100% sure. You may use a condom, it may burst. Young people need to be very careful. And for sure, for me, I believe in sexual purity. For one, it is important for us to understand, as I had heard, that virginity was given by God for a purpose, that it may, in the time of marriage, we can be able to break or have a covenant with God. If you may read the scriptures, you will find that every form of sacrifice that we are giving to please God, it had bloodshed. And even for us today, we are Christians because of a sacrifice that was made on the cross, and it has bloodshed in it. If we need God to intervene and be part of that marriage, we need to remain pure. That at that time of marriage, when you shall go to bed with that man, when we shall go to bed with that lady, there will be bloodshed. And for sure we know, even our young people know, that when you are breaking the virginity of that girl, there will be some bloodshed. And you are doing it at the long time. And we need to admit that everything has its own time. Wait for the appropriate time, and you shall enjoy for the whole of your life. I don't know whether I have responded to that concern of who is to protect who.
Because a man is commanded to love, so they protect.
Yes.
But then also checking emotions in our eyes. Damu imechemka. You know, we agree we are made of blood. Our blood gets hot. So also your blood is hot. How do you handle that? You need to quench your thirst.
Now, for me, it's not about handling. First is to prevent that. Because I know I'm a guy, I'm only human in our team, emotions are high, obviously. And then I enter myself into a certain scenario that will make me want to be like that. So why should I enter that scenario and at the back of my mind I know what will happen next? So I prevent entering into that scenario. And if worst comes to us, pray to God and just say no.
Blood is just smiling. What's it? Your blood is boiling. Moses is there, or maybe somebody else is there. Do you run? What do you do? Do you give it?
For me, it's like to keep myself busy. Like for me, I love reading novels, and I have an app on my phone for that. So if I find myself in that scenario, the best thing would be to keep myself busy and to just, like, in my head, just do anything else but think about that.
Some of these novels are mind suggesting. So how do you keep up with?
By reading the ones that are not.
I will give you that way. That's the answer, you know.
From the title, novels have a preview or a summary about it. So when you read the summary, you get the idea of the novel. So from the knowledge you have, I think you can figure that out.
Yes, Moses.
That there are some certain authors who are known for writing that kind of thing. So if you can avoid such novels,
Grace, as you are dating, how did you avoid some of these cases, some of these touchy affairs?
At that point, you better run. For a girl, utatoka kwa hiyo nyumba yenye urani, go home, ama you just decide like, good talking to them. But you know, for a guy, it is visible. Unaweza mwacha hapo kwa nyumba, you go, because he will tell you, siwezi enda nikani kwa hivi shwari. So, just like Joseph did, you just run. Because sexual temptation is like, I don't know, it is a fire that has to be quenched. So, the best thing is just to, imagine atakushika, and you know, these are the cases where you find that a guy raped a girl. It has to happen for them. They have to release. If you're the receiver. So, you run.
Mazee Ramji, uchalia nakuambia moto ni waka. So itumie kadungi kamoja. Sasa ni manut, I quench my fast.
What will I do?
You love this guy?
I love the guy. Wow. I just have to redefine that now. Because with the knowledge I have, the best I can do is just keep off completely. Because it has happened once, and probably I've talked about it. It's due to happen again.
Because there's that guy.
Hey, I know guys are well. They know when to bring it up. So the best I can do is run. Just keep off on me.
Before I go to the level, I have a question. What's this cycle of sending nudes? Moses, where is it coming from? Why do you have to send somebody your nude pictures? Moses. What's the drive to it?
I think the drive to it is just, again, you know you cannot have one thing in the future and have another. So you cannot go and have sex, so you want the next best thing. It's not the needs. And in the needs, you can go and then reduce yourself for something, which is the next best thing. So that's where the cycle of needs comes in.
It's the next best thing. So we are building up or we are cooking, we are not having sex, but we can send nudes.
I've never really understood the reason why people have to send notes for me. But as Moses has said, I think the guy's side is for them, I don't know, to feel high in that situation or something. So I never understood.
I really never said that. I actually even had an issue that a good woman picture surely for what for sweet. So I think this is the issue of nudes. If a guy wants you and he's telling you to send nudes, he's trying to gauge you. Where is your mind lying? If you send a nude, he's like, this lady is ready for sex. But if you don't, but if you give in, you know where your mind is. So I don't really see the need to force.
Can I add something? It's, I think also, based on something I've seen, nudes can also, I think, for the men, used as a leverage. Like, if you don't have sex with me, I'll send this nudes. Because you know he has access to them, he has the photos on his phone. And he can say I'll send to every contact on WhatsApp. And maybe half of them are your friends. So that kind of embarrassment. So that can be used as a leverage if you do not have sex with me, or if you don't do this and this and this that I want you to do, I will send this nudes. So a woman, by the end of it, ends up losing her value and for what a blackmail. So.
Rev, is technology that bad? We are heading to 5G. What are we looking into when we get to that level?
Allow me to say that technology is very important, and we have to embrace the fact that we are living in this era of technology. We need to acknowledge that it has advantages, but some other people have used it to spoil the mind of our young people and also to entice themselves. And also to make money. We need to acknowledge that some other people are making money through pornographic literature. And you are introduced into some things just with a very simple thing, especially when a young girl or a boy is sending a nude photo to the lover. You are getting introduced into pornography and you do not know. You may see but think it is that simple. And as my sister Lois has mentioned, it can be used for negative. And whenever you have agreed to send a nude photo, you are saying that I am ready for it from my side, as my sister has mentioned. And therefore, it is important for us to be very careful on how we are using the technology that has come. And I believe if someone is sending some messages that you are feeling you are not comfortable with, I believe it is important for you to give a warning to them. For me, I don't like this. And you can even delete it if it is on WhatsApp. You can delete it for all. If you can see it early enough, before maybe I think that minutes elapses, you can be able to delete that message and tell them or rather show them that you are not ready for that. And at the same time, it is important to ask ourselves, what actually makes people become hot or rather be ready for sex? Amewaka sana huyu kijana ama msichana. Labda ni hata mambo mengine besides now the issues of the media. It is even on how they relate. Perhaps they are too close. They spend quite some time together and in a very secluded places. where they are even touching each other, holding hands, caressing, ama unashikwa mikono unaanza kuwa caress. When such things are happening and you are told that your hands are so soft, you find that huyo mtu anapalilia. And it is important for the young people to know, especially young men. Hebu ni washtaki kwa kuwa hata mimi ni mwanaume na nilikuwa pale. Vijana wengi hawa maboys huwa anatamani msichana hata akimfanya rafiki, anamfanya rafiki ni kwa ajili ya kwamba amekuwa sexually attracted na anataka kufulfill that sexual desire quite as soon as possible, ama kwa haraka sana, na anataka kufeel huyu msichana na ili amuonyeshe anampenda ama na yeye afeel vizuri vile anataka. Na kwa hivyo ni vizuri wasichana wakaweze kuelewa hawa vijana ni wazuri. You need to relate them but with some boundaries, with a distance in between you two. Do not allow them to touch you everywhere. You know, ladies, they have sensitive parts, and also men at the same time. Usimwanao awe anakuguza kila mahali, wakati huo utafika akuguze hata mpaka ashoke, hata wewe utashoka mwenyewe. Na kwa hivyo ni vizuri kujipatia hiyo heshima. Give yourself some value that will make you not to be exposed into such direction whereby you will find yourself into it, kwa maana hata wewe umewaka, hauna sasa jambo la kuzuia kuingia mahali.
Wow. Yes,
question. You are saying nudes are bad.
What?
Nudes.
Yes.
Are they overall bad, or are they okay for a certain group of people, like married people?
At this rate of technology, like my husband's phone is linked to Google. What if you send those photos, then you patikana kwa Google? What will you say? So I don't really think, we don't do that. So I don't know what other couples do.
Maybe as my teacher is also because I'm married. Because of technology, it becomes a big risk. Issues of phones being hacked and all that. And because I sometimes act as a role model, even if I was sending to my wife and it lands on the wrong hands, you guys will view me differently. You will not understand that I was sending to my wife. So because of that line of trying not to hurt those that look up to me, we choose not to. I don't know if.
Yeah, I also tend to think that there is no appropriate stage or point in life that we can encourage nude photos to be sent through media. Even when it comes to marriage life, marriage is private. Even at the point where you will be fiancé, you are preparing for marriage, you have even introduced the girl to your parents and she has introduced you to the parents. Even at that time, it is very insecure. And when it comes to marriage, for the young people, we encourage them, and this is actually how it should be. You should wait until marriage for you to have sex. And it is also till that time that you need to expose yourself, whether it is in terms of photos or whatever. It is up to that point. And then, if it is after marriage, then you have that person with you. What use will it be then for a nude photo? Si unamuona, unaweza kumwambia vaa hii kapanti ukae pale. Unaona? Ama kaa hivi, nataka kuona. You know, you have that person with you. And you know why young people are seeking for nude photos. Na ili hata iweke kwa simu yake, wakati anamisi huyo dada na anawaka kidogo, anamtazama. And this is what actually is encouraging masturbation. Unajua hiyo picha ya nini? You find that you are actually escalating the urge for sex. And by the end of the day, you will find yourself enticing yourself and touching every other part of your body. Wasichana watajiguza kila mahali na vijana wakifanya masturbation, alihisi tu wakati amefanya hivyo amesikia kama amefanya sex na huyo, na anafanya hivyo akitazama ile picha. We have shared with several young people and some other couples, some other married people. They are elderly, but they are addicted into masturbation. And therefore, it is important for you to be very careful. If there, so for me, I can say there is no appropriate time for nude photos. It is absolutely, it has no place in the life of a believer, especially when we can talk from that perspective of a Christian young person.
How can you tell teenagers not to send nudes? And like this day, we cannot just tell teenagers to don't do this, and you don't have the reason not to do it. They want to see why.
Mimi nafikiria this is not just a matter of a list or just one thing. It should be a discussion or several other things that need to be reflected on. Kwa maana ni vizuri tuweze kuwaonyesha the pros and cons za mambo haya yote. Tuweze kumwambia kijana, ukituma hiyo nude photo, it will encourage you into masturbation. Aulize masturbation ni nini. Uweze kumwelezea the negatives of that end, because I don't believe there is anything positive to do with masturbation. Nothing is positive into it. Alafu uweze kumwelezea, it will also encourage you into sex. Utaweza kuona sasa huyo mtu ambaye amekutumia picha, you now want to feel them live. Ile ilikuwa ni kama ile picha ya kurekodiwa. you now want the practical things. Na wakati sasa umeingiza katika sex, umeingia into early sex that also has some negatives. It has some its cause ama negative part of it. And therefore it should be, wakati tunaongea na vijana kuhusu haya mambo, inabidi sasa, na sijui kama ni wakati tutatumia, tuweze kuwaelezea why are we telling them that this is negative.
Then the other one, as the Reverend has said, your pictures zinaweza kuona watu wengine wenye they were not meant to be. Maybe in that way you are Google, ama you might be, there was another time a friend of mine was trying to send something to the girlfriend and unfortunately it landed in a church group. You can imagine. And that person, for example, I was trying to send something to Masharia, then nikatuma watu kwa group ya evangelism. And mimi wa present what would they see me? So it is just about your image. How do you want other people to see you? How do you want other people to perceive you? How do you want that other person to perceive you? Because if you want to be perceived as a slut, people will just see you that. It is only your character that will make you, like, let me just give you an example of myself. When I was a teenager like you, I used to attract people who are very serious, people who are not joking. Because if you present yourself in a certain way, you will attract people of that kind. If you entertain those nudes, okay, chalia kikutisha nude, wetu ni kutuma. Alafu at this age, maybe you are dating or you've not specialized. There are some prospective guys, maybe they are 5. Huyo kikuomba nude, utamtumia, utumie, whom you don't know their friends, then they go share. Then your image is tarnished. So it all comes down to character. Mind your character. Because this character is the one which maintains you where you are. You will think that you will be a teenager forever. Tomorrow you will be married. Who will you attract? Atakuwa amesikia stories zako vile ulikuwa unafanya, atakubeba aje. So just mind your image. This needs to attend nazo if you really mind language. For tomorrow's sake. On this issue of nudes and sending photos to maybe get approval to the guy. You see, guys are attracted visually. So if you have an issue with your self-esteem, you'll want to prove a point to this guy because you're not the only girl maybe he's trying to see, but because you want to catch him, you'll feel obliged to send these nudes. And the more nude, the better. The more, imagine, you can even go. Right now, madam wanapenda kwenda photo shoots. There are all kinds of photo shoots. You will go to miles just to get those nice, good photos, like the ones you see in movies and magazines and all that. You will go to that point just to make yourself feel like when you live there. Right now, kuna this type of socialites. They are the role models of ladies right now. They want to look like that, to be like that, bleaching themselves, doing what, I don't look like a certain way so they can fit in the society. It is just a matter of trying to make themselves feel like an attention. But I wish they really knew you are just beautiful the way you are. You don't have to get the approval of somebody else or a man who is just trying to get you. And at the end of the day, most of the times, these young men, if it is not marriage, it will still really young. You are teenagers. So what they want is what? Sex. Na kung'ara na wewe. Ajulikane, hey, nani Joan demu yangu. That is all they want right now. So I wish you had your own self-confidence that you didn't need another man or a man to make you feel that you are enough. So that I think that is one of the reasons they tend to send those students.
Wow, why shouldn't you send it? Well, you become an object to the person you're sending to. So he or she objectifies you as per what they see. I'll tell the ladies this: boys talk, men talk. Okay, boys talk. So anytime you send me a photo, I'll always go to the boys bragging. Check you there, that's the objectification we are talking about. Internet never forgets. Every time something goes up live, it will always be remembered, it will always be what held on the internet. So come what, you're 40, you're 30 years, things start resurfacing of you. Will you be proud of that choice that you made when you took a photo of yourself and sent something? Will you be proud when they put it out and people just see how you looked when it was there? Boys brag about what they have gone through. So you always be objectified by men. So you want to value yourself and put yourself a price that is high. For the men, ladies will always show off and say, which a little dog. Imagine. So when they look at you, they're just laughing at you because they know the conversations they've had behind the scenes. So it never acts for you, it always acts against you. Maintain your dignity, don't send. If they cannot see you in clothes, why don't you wait till you marry? Rev, what's your take on this negativity? Yes.
I'm thinking of this cliche saying that I think for me it's really got drilled in me. My body is the temple of God. So by all aspects, whether it's the dressing aspect, whether it's the behaving aspect, whether it's the sharing nudity aspect, it's the temple of God. So to the same extent I fear God is the same extent I fear being naked. Okay. Being naked in aspects of sharing my nudity. So I think if we could go to an extent of being driven by such things like, I'm a Christian and this is the temple of God, if I understood the depth of it, I would really get scared to it, to the sharing nudity thing, because dignity, putting aside every word you will be told, putting that aside, just remember, by the end of the day, just whether kinafikiria cha kwanza, just wekwa kikidemo to dignity by all notions, by all aspects. That is my biggest, I think it really drives me, the temple of God aspect.
Thank you. I think it is all about how you define yourself. Who are you? And you know who you are, it does not only depend on the way you treat yourself, but also how other people consider you to be. What do other people say you are? If you have reached to that point of exposing your private life to such an extent, people will be able to see you and see you how weak you are. And at that time, you are losing your value out there. My sister has put it so well, that I am the temple of God. We need to understand that we are created in God's image and likeness. And therefore we need to ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing in the eyes of God? Am I doing that which is pleasant in the eyes of God? And for sure, it is important for our young people to remember that they are Christians. Let us not forget that. But we need to make ourselves distinct from all other people. As a young person, you can be that principled young girl, principled young man. You can be a person of value. Hold yourself, be a virgin even if it is not popular to others. Do not be influenced into negative behaviors by your peers. You can embrace those that are positive when they are encouraging you to do something heroic, but do not get into that negative that they may consider you to be a hero. Do not allow someone to tell you that you will become a hero by punching with your fist a hard wall. You will break your fist. You are the one to feel pain. And therefore, be very careful, young men. Do not do things that will be detrimental to your lives.
Na tukimalizia, likes, Instagram, TikTok. Moses, you've taken a good picture. Isipopata likes, does that give you value? Or where do you source your value from?
For me, I don't really care about Instagram or those things. For me, it's who am I? Am I adding value to this world? That's where my value comes from. It's not about how people see me, it's how I see myself. For me, I don't really care about what other people say. So personally, my value comes from me inside.
Royce, you've dressed up, makeup, done a good photo, heels, na hakuna likes. Instagram, hata moja, only your sister. Does it give you value?
No, I don't think likes from people who you don't know gives you value. As Moses had said, it all comes down to knowing yourself, loving yourself, having that foundation about embracing yourself for who you are. If you don't like me, that's fine, but I love me. I think it all comes down to that, just loving yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Because even if I dress well, as you said, I put my photo there, and it doesn't get likes, but if I like it, one thing my mom told me, the greatest opinion in your life that you're supposed to look out for is for yourself. So if I think I look good in this photo, I don't care what anyone else thinks, so long as I think it's cool. So it all comes down to knowing yourself and loving yourself.
John, unapiga picha curves nini na unaweka pale Psalms, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. What message are you trying to tell us?
For one, I don't just post photos. I first look at how I want and then I post it, so that when somebody sees it, atakurate na venye umevaa. Ukianzia kuvaa miniskirt, kuna mtu atakuona like, this girl, she's not as good as she looks. But if I post something, I don't care about what people say. I don't care how many likes I get, as long as I know I've worn respectable, decent, and I love myself, and my family is always there for me. So I don't care what other people from outside who even don't know me, have never known me, they have never seen me, judge about me. I don't.
Angela, it has to be tight kidogo, it has to be short, ioneshane kidogo, ndio waniangalie, wageuke nikipita. Gives you value when they whisper, are you that?
Thank you.
why did I prefer a girl? So it could be very many factors. Fun. It could be I need lights, I'm quenching for them. It could be I'm driving a point. You know, nowadays you put a photo and then you put a caption. So for me it don't matter.
Grace, you're married. How short was it in your career? You get attracted, maybe you are in a short tight skirt or a curvy, and he was like,
And I'm very conservative when it comes to my dressing. I met my husband in church. I used to wear very long dresses, so I don't think it is anything to do with what I wear. So I think it is my character. So character comes first. Then whatever I wear it for myself first. Am I comfortable? I will not dress in a certain way to please other people that I'm not comfortable in. What am I trying to attract? I'm posting those photos. You don't have to post a photo. You can post something else. Why are you posting a photo for everybody to see? For who are those who are seeing? Why those? Okay, it feels good to get those likes. Umetumia photo shoot. Alafu naeka picha Instagram alafu na likes. Utafeel vibaya ni kweli. Wanasema you will feel nothing, but I'm sure I was there. Me too. I was there, and ukipost picha poa unafeel leo yenyewe umeweza. Alafu ukikosa kupata likes, it makes you feel a certain way. But if you don't want to feel a certain way, just let it come from you. Love yourself the way you are, whether you're beautiful, whether you get likes and comments, it doesn't matter. So,
for your comments on my dress, my choice. How I dress, that's how I'm addressed. Rev, must it hang a little lower? Must it be too high kidogo so that they can notice me?
For me, I think, like the way we usually say, if you have value, you will not expose yourself, you will not advertise yourself out there. Take for example, if you go to the phone shop to buy a phone, there are some phones that are on display and they are valued at the tag of their prices there. But there are some others that you may even not think that they are there, like iPhone. And you cannot even be allowed to open it from that box. It is only in a dummy display out there. You are given a value, but you cannot say, can I take a photo and see how it is coming? No. So if you value yourself, if you are of great value, you should not display yourself and that you may be able to attract some other people. For what reason? If you are of value, I believe they need actually to come looking for you. You don't need to expose yourself for people to follow you. Lakini unastahili ukae vizuri. Na wale wasichana ambao wanapewa heshima pale nje na maboys ama wale vijana ambao ni serious, ni wale ambao wanajiweka vizuri. Ukijiexpose sana wamekuzoea basi. And whenever they see you katika hiyo hali, wataona you are already cheap. Kwa hiyo you are attracting every other person. Kwanza vijana wanajiuliza, kama nimevutwa na yeye akiwa vile, anavuta wangapi? Amevuta wengi, na anaanza kujiuliza, huyu msichana kweli ni kama vile ninaweza fikiria, anaanza kukushusha hali. And therefore it is important for you to be very careful. Na jambo lingine ningetaka kuambia vijana ni kwamba, do not wait to be given value. Give yourself value. Jipatie heshima mwenyewe. Na ujue ya kwamba mambo ya kimwili, unaweza jipondoa sana mambo ya kimwili, but these are temporary. There will be that time that shall come. Kama mimi vile nilivyooa mke wangu sio vile alivyo sahihi. Kuna kashepa ambayo kamepotea kidogo. Lakini work on your character. Who are you? Work on your character. By the way, character is temporary. Na wanaume wale ambao ni serious na wale ambao ni wazuri kule nje, ni wale ambao wanaangalia beyond the body, beyond the figure. And so, girls, be cautious, take care of yourselves, jifishe, usije unajiexpose sana. Let them come looking with an urge and curious. What is this that has been hidden in all this outfit?
Mwaze kazi uisha. Hiyo time ikifika. Inaisha. Closing remarks, Moses.
As for me, what I learned from this talk is that it's okay to be not like other people. Be your own person. Wait for it, and as we have been told, to be one, say with it to it a lot of times. You will be rewarded. That it's not a mistake to it. That's what I've learned. And respect yourself and your character. So that's what I'm important.
All I can say is value yourself and just value yourself because you're priceless and there's no one else out there like you. So keep yourself pure for now as teenagers and the right time will come.
John?
For me, first, respect yourself because respect is the first thing to know your character and always keep your character the way you are raised. And also respect the perspective in you. Always keep distance to what makes you attractive to some issues that you know they're negative.
What I think of sex issue is one, it's a simple, let me put simple in quotes because there's a lot of complications in it. It's as simple as sex is for the married. Let us just leave it at that. And then when the notions of peer pressure, exposure, temptations come, let us put in values of respect, dignity, purity. We put that in ourselves rather. And then we eradicate the notion of sex at an age. That is all.
Grace?
I would like to tell the teenagers to esteem themselves highly. As Christians, Jesus is the mark of perfection in our lives. And there's no other. Your mother will not give you value. Your father will not. Your friend, your sister will not give you value. Only Christ will give you value. Know Him, and He will show you how to live your life. There were teenagers who came and they lost and they messed up their lives when they were young. And there are those who went through stuff in their teenage lives and they made it. But the best is the one who knew Christ when they were young. He will never let you down. He will guide you through all those emotions, all those tantrums, all those feelings, and He will guide you through and you will be a successful person in the future. Because life is not about just being a teenager. There is more to that. There's peer pressure, yes. There's too much that is expected of you. You have to know there's so much to do when you are a teenager. But I hope and I pray that you will choose the right way. Choose Christ and your life will always be good.
Wow, thank you so much. And even as our Reverend gives us the final comments, this is my whole takeout. Sex is not the measure of love. It is part of the love affair. Asanteni sana. Over to our Reverend.
Thank you so much. We are happy for that program. We are glad that we have our young people here becoming very open to share the things that are out there, their own life experiences, and also being very free to discuss this discussion about boy-girl relationship. These are the things that are happening within our people. And we as elderly people, we were still there. We know how that life is all about. And whenever we are telling you that make yourself or keep yourself sexually pure, we know what we are exactly saying. If you are not sexually pure or if you engage yourself into early sex, you will come at some point to regret it in your life. But if you may keep yourself pure till that time of marriage, you will enjoy. Let us keep ourselves pure for Christ's sake and also for our lives. Remember that we are Christians and we need to observe godly values in our life. We need to observe godly values. You need to be a believer. Be distinct from all other young people. It is not a must for you to do some things because others are telling you to do it, or rather they are doing it. Just be principled. Be yourself. Give yourself that value that you would like other people to be seeing in you. And by the way, it is precious to be a virgin. Whether you are a guy or a lady out there, it is good for you to be a virgin. So keep yourself pure and the Lord will continue to bless you in your life. Young people, take care of yourselves, because I believe if you take care of yourself, God will take care of you. If you do not take care of yourself, God will not have a place in your life. So God bless you. May the Lord do you good, and let us have a wonderful time. We shall keep doing this, and we know that we shall help some people out there. Nataka tuombe na ili tumalize na Bwana ataweza kutubariki. Tunasema ni asante Mwenyezi Mungu Baba kwa vile umenipatia nafasi hii tukaweze kunena na vijana hawa. Baba wa mbinguni, tunaomba wasaidie mfalme kukaa maisha itakayokuridhisha, maisha Baba wa mbinguni ambayo haitawaingiza kwenye shida, maisha ambayo itawafanya waweze kukaa kulingana na vile ulikusudia kwa mwanadamu. Baba wa mbinguni, mambo ya ngono ni ya ndoa, lakini inawaharibu vijana siku hizi, kwa maana wamejiingiza ndani yake kwa mapema. Tunaomba ya kwamba ukaweze kuwakinga vijana hawa wa kanisa hili na wote wanaofuata programu hii, na ili wakaweze kuwa bora katika maisha yao na wakazidi kukaa kulingana na mapenzi yako, wafurahie maisha haya, wakupende wewe kama Mungu wao, na ili ukazidi kujihidhirisha katika maisha yao. Twajiachilia kwako, tubariki na uzidi kututenda mema, na ni katika Kristo Yesu tunaomba na